Last night, something cracked inside them, not loudly, not with tears, not with some dramatic message sent at 2 a.m. It happened in silence, and that was the worst part, because silence does not distract. Silence reveals. And in one sharp, merciless moment, they felt a truth they had been avoiding for far too long. No one will ever love them the way you did. No one will ever look through the mask, past the charm, past the excuses, and reach the part of them that was real. That truth did not come softly. It landed like weight on the chest, like a room turning cold, like every distraction failing at once. They thought they missed your presence, but it was deeper than that, much deeper. They were not just missing you. They were realizing what disappeared when you left. Stay with me, because this is where everything changes. What they lost was not attention. It was not comfort. It was not just a relationship they could replace with another face, another laugh, another temporary connection. What they lost was the only space where they felt truly seen, and now that space is gone. And last night, maybe for the first time, they understood exactly what that means. At first, it was only a flicker, a thought they tried to push away, a small moment of discomfort. But buried truth does not stay buried forever. It waits, it watches, and when the mind gets tired enough, it rises. That is what happened to them. They looked around at the noise, the people, the messages, the easy conversations, and suddenly all of it felt thin, empty, forced, because none of it had depth. None of it had that strange, rare feeling they once had with you, that feeling of being known without needing to explain every broken piece. You were not just someone who cared. You were the one who noticed what they tried to hide. You saw the fear behind their confidence. You saw the ache behind their control. You saw the loneliness behind the distractions, and you did not run. That mattered more than they admitted, more than they understood. Because being truly seen is not always comforting. Sometimes it is terrifying. It means someone can no longer be fooled by the performance. It means the image starts to crack. It means the safe, polished version of the self begins to collapse. And that is exactly why they pulled away. Not because you meant little, because you meant too much. Because your presence made hiding harder. And when hiding becomes hard, people who are not ready for truth often choose distance instead. That is the part most people never understand. They did not leave because there was no feeling. They left because there was too much of it, too much truth, too much exposure, too much pressure to be real. With you, they could not stay numb for long. They could not fully escape into old habits, shallow comfort, or emotional tricks that once kept them protected. You kept reaching something in them they had spent years trying to avoid, and every time you got closer, their inner chaos got louder. So the pattern began. A slower reply, a colder tone, a strange distance that showed up right when warmth was needed, a pointless argument, a quiet withdrawal. Nothing dramatic at first. That is how self-sabotage usually works. It is subtle. It hides behind mood, stress, timing, confusion. But underneath it is fear, raw fear. Because you were not making them uncomfortable, you were making them aware. Aware of wounds they never healed. Aware of how badly they still needed validation. Aware of the belief that they were somehow not enough and maybe never would be. You did not create that pain. You revealed it. And people often resent the one who reveals what they cannot fix. Watch this closely, because this is where the tragedy begins. They blamed the connection for the feelings that were already living inside them, so they escaped. Maybe not all at once, but piece by piece, enough to weaken what was real, enough to convince themselves they still had control. Distance gave them temporary relief. It dulled the pressure. It let them rebuild the mask. It let them pretend the connection was not rare, not deep, not dangerous in the best and worst ways. They told themselves you were too much, too intense, too emotional, too demanding. But what they really meant was simpler and harder to admit. You made them feel things they had spent their whole life avoiding. You made them drop the performance without even trying. You did not chase. You did not beg. You did not twist yourself into someone easier to manage. You were simply present, and presence is powerful. Presence cannot be easily manipulated. Presence holds up a mirror. That is why part of them felt safe with you while another part wanted to run. One side wanted to stay and be known. The other side wanted escape and control. It was not confusion, it was a split inside them. The version they showed the world was fighting the version that came alive with you. And because they did not know how to carry both, they chose the one that felt familiar. They chose protection over truth, control over closeness, distance over depth. But here is the cruel part. What feels safe in the moment often becomes unbearable later. And that later finally arrived. Last night, the numbness wore off. The delay ended. The mind stopped helping them hide. Suddenly, all the moments they brushed aside came back with sharp clarity. The way you looked at them when they couldn't look at themselves. The patience you held without trying to rescue them. The silence you shared that never felt empty. The strange peace of not having to pretend. They used to think someone like you would always be there, that depth could be replaced, that if one connection ended, another one would arrive and make them feel the same. But now they know better. Real recognition is rare. Real emotional safety is rare. Being seen and still accepted is rare. And rare things do not return just because someone finally learns their value too late. This is what is breaking them quietly. Not some simple heartbreak, not even regret by itself. It is the realization that they had something genuine and treated it like something common. It is seeing that you were not asking for too much. You were offering something they did not believe they deserved. And because they secretly expected abandonment, they abandoned first. That is the paradox they are choking on now. They were not rejected. They rejected. They were not unloved. They pushed away the one love that reached beneath the surface. And once that truth settles in, even slowly, it changes the entire story they told themselves about what happened. Now every new interaction exposes the difference. That is why nothing feels right. People talk to them. People laugh with them. People offer attention, interest, maybe even affection. But something is missing every single time, and they can feel it. The depth is gone. The honesty is gone. The sense of being reached at the core is gone. Because once a person experiences real emotional recognition, shallow connection starts to feel obvious, almost painful. They try to ignore it. They fill the silence with noise, plans, screens, new faces, easy chemistry, passing excitement. But none of it touches the place you reached without effort. That is what haunts them. You did not study them like a puzzle. You simply understood. And understanding like that cannot be copied by performance. It comes from truth meeting truth. It comes from vulnerability. And vulnerability is still the one door they do not know how to walk through without fear. So now they are stuck in a loop. They crave what they lost, yet they are still not fully ready to become the person who could have kept it. Sit with that for a second, because that tension is not small. It grows, quietly, daily. Every empty connection adds to it. Every forced conversation adds to it. Every time life feels full on the outside and hollow underneath, the pressure builds, and pressure like that does not disappear. It transforms or it breaks something. What makes this even darker is that losing you did not just feel like losing a person, it felt like losing access to a version of themselves. With you, something in them softened, not weakness, not dependence, something more honest than that. They were less guarded, less performative, less trapped inside image and control. A more open version of them came alive around you, and now they cannot find that version anywhere else. That is why this hurts in such a strange, identity-level way. People can tell themselves another partner will come, another bond will form, another season will start. But what they cannot so easily replace is the self they became in your presence. That is the part they are mourning, even if they do not have the words for it. They are starting to understand that we do not only fall for people, we also fall for who we get to be beside them. And you gave them access to a self that felt real, a self that did not need armor every second, a self that could breathe. Now they search for that feeling in other places, other people, other moments, but everything feels slightly artificial, close but not true, familiar but not alive. Because what they are chasing was never just romance, it was alignment. It was the rare moment when who they were and who they could become stood in the same room together, and they walked away from it before they understood what they were holding. That is why regret is not hitting them in one dramatic wave. It is showing up in pieces. A song, a pause in conversation, a late-night thought they cannot outrun, a memory that arrives without warning and strips everything back. Then they feel it all again. The safety, the intensity. The terrifying closeness they once treated like a problem now feels like the only place they were ever fully real. And that realization does not comfort them. It destabilizes them, because now they can see the truth with almost painful clarity. They were never overwhelmed by you alone. They were overwhelmed by what your presence uncovered in them. Instead of growing into that awareness, they escaped from it. But escape has a cost. It freezes a person in the very state they were trying to outrun. So while you moved forward, they stayed trapped in old patterns, more guarded, more disconnected, more dependent on surface-level interactions that ask nothing real from them. That is why last night felt so brutal. It was not just memory, it was accountability. Not blame thrown around for show, not shame for appearance, real accountability. The kind you feel in the chest when you realize what slipped through your hands was not taken from you. It was dropped because you did not yet know how to hold it. And once someone truly understands that, sleep changes, silence changes, even the past changes, because every moment gets replayed under a new and heavier light. Now they are standing in a place they never expected to reach. The old story no longer works. They cannot keep saying you were the issue. They cannot keep pretending timing was the only problem. They cannot keep rewriting the past to protect the image they had of themselves. Clarity has started doing its work, and clarity is ruthless. It removes the comfort from denial. It strips away excuses. It leaves only what is true. And what is true is this: you were not the disruption because you were wrong for them. You were the disruption because you were too right. You interrupted their avoidance. You interrupted their emotional habits. You interrupted the carefully built identity that helped them survive but never really let them live. That is why they ran. Not from weakness, but from accuracy. Love is hardest to receive when it touches the exact place a person is still trying not to see. You reached that place. You did not try to fix them. You revealed them. And once someone has been revealed like that, there are only two choices: grow or escape. They chose escape. But escape does not save a person from truth. It only delays the meeting. And now the meeting has begun. This is the part most people never say out loud, so listen closely. The deepest pain is not always losing someone. Sometimes it is realizing you were loved in a way that could have changed you, and you were too afraid to let it. So here they are now, feeling the weight of every missed chance, to be honest. Every moment you reached out and they pulled back. Every time you stayed emotionally present while they were already halfway gone. It all looks different now. heavier, clearer, final. They know no one else will love them in that exact way, not because no one else is capable of love, but because what happened between you and them was more than affection. It was a mirror. It was exposure without cruelty. It was closeness without performance. It was the rare collision between tenderness and truth. And those kinds of connections leave a mark. They shape every future experience. Now every almost right connection reminds them of what real felt like. Every surface-level bond reminds them of what depth used to do to their soul. Every comfortable lie reminds them of the honest thing they once ran from. And maybe the hardest part is this. They know it now. They know what you were. They know what they lost. They know fear made the choice. But fear does not erase consequence. It creates consequence. That is the quiet punishment. Not loud, not public, internal, constant. Because once a person has been truly seen, they can never go fully back to being invisible, even to themselves. And that is what they must live with now. Not just the loss of you, but the knowledge of why they lost you. Maybe that is the final truth settling into them now, slowly and without mercy. They did not just lose someone who cared. They lost the only person who made them face who they really were beneath the charm, the control, the distance, the distractions, the practiced calm. You reached the part they spent years protecting from the world. You saw both the damage and the beauty in them, and instead of turning away, you stayed. That kind of love does not vanish when the relationship ends. It becomes a standard, a memory, a measure, a wound, a turning point, and whether they admit it to anyone or not, it is reshaping them from the inside. Because identity, once fractured by truth, does not simply return to what it was. It changes, it grows, or it collapses. Right now they are standing at that edge, caught between the person they have always been and the person they now realize they could have become. There is no one left to blame. No easy story left to hide behind. No distraction strong enough to silence what has finally risen to the surface. Just one hard truth echoing through everything they feel. They did not lose you by accident. They lost the one connection that made them real. And somewhere deep inside, where silence no longer asks for permission, they know that truth will stay with them for a very, very long time. If you felt this, you already know. And if you know, then you know this was never ordinary.